Whew. Guys, I have been waiting for this. ASUS are sponsoring this video. They're helping towards the new Ferrari fund. So yeah, they want me to cover this monitor, which actually I've really been looking forward to because it is the first high resolution 5K monitor that is more than 60 Hertz. It is 180 Hertz. This is definitely gonna be fun unboxed. Where's my knife? I need to get my knife. We are going to try this monitor with a Mac and a PC and maybe a PS5 as well. How are we gonna do this? Okay, so first up we have the monitor. I need to get the stand out. So we get the stand, which is actually tiny. A lot of stands on monitors I feel like are too big these days. No screws required to put the stand on. Oh, this is just so much easier. This is great. There we are. Ooh, okay. This looks good. We're looking good so far. Let's wipe it down. Okay, let me show you what we get in the box. We get some stickers, some documentation and stuff. But what is nice is that the cables come in their own bag, their own ROG bag. Inside, we get the power cable. Oh, we get another power cable, and then we get a display port. There is no USB cable, there is no HDMI cable, so you will need to use your own, it looks like. When it comes to the design, it's pretty simple. Like, there isn't anything to shout about. A chin on the bottom. It is a sort of matte glossy display. It's actually in between. It's not fully matte, but it's also not fully glossy because I can sort of see myself in the reflection. What you prefer really just comes down to your environment and the way you have your setup set up. This is a gaming display as well. So considering it's a gaming display, I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised at how sort of minimal it looks from the front. It doesn't look overly gamery or anything. The stand as well doesn't take up a ton of room, and it is made from metal, so it doesn't feel cheap, which is nice to see. Actually, before we turn it around, let me show you how much adjustability we have. We can go up, down. Of course, we can rotate if we like. We can adjust this way, so we can tilt it, and we can swivel it. So there is a ton of adjustability in quite a compact stand. Okay, let's turn it around so that you guys can see the back. This is part of their gaming lineup, so it does have a gamery aesthetic. I don't think it's too much. I do think it's okay, but to be honest, you know, you're most likely going to have this up against a wall, right? So how often are you going to see all of this design on the back? But what is smart is if you look here, there is a 1/4 inch mount. So you could put in a camera, you could put in a light, have it overhanging over the top of the monitor. So you could screw it in here and then have the camera over the top. I think that is genius. I'm surprised I haven't seen that before. I'm sure maybe other manufacturers have done it, but this is the first time I've personally seen it. And then we have all of the buttons back here as well to control the monitor. Thankfully, the buttons aren't on the front. I think this does look cleaner when the buttons are on the back. When it comes to connectivity, there is a ton of different options here. We have 2 HDMI ports, a display port, a USB-C port, which is also capable of display port, and a USB hub, so you can use it as a sort of KVM as well. Now, the main reason you would buy this monitor is, of course, let me connect it up quickly, is of course to get that 5K at 180 Hertz. That is the main reason you would buy it. But it also just happens to do 330 Hertz at 1440p. Now, I do feel like this monitor is targeted towards gamers, but that doesn't mean it can't be used for productivity, because I really do think 5K at 27 inches is just perfect. So we're first actually gonna try my MacBook, and then we're going to try my PC. There we go. That's much better. Let me show you guys how we have this set up now. So if we look at the monitor here, we are getting 5K, 5120 by 2880 at 165 Hertz. On here as well, on my Mac, we can see it is at 165 Hertz, and I have the scaling at 2560 by 1440. So we are getting perfect integer scaling. I feel like a lot of people get confused as to why I would run a display at 2560 by 1440. This is just Mac's weird, funny way of showing the sort of resolution. So we are looking at the equivalent of a 2560 by 1440, but we actually have integer scaling. So it's perfectly doubling the amount of pixels. So we still get absolute tack sharpness. So if I go to the menu bar here, you can see here, it is absolutely tack sharp. All of the icons, they look incredible. Using the display though, man, it just looks so good. Like 5K at 27 inches, I think is the absolute sweet spot. I think this is the perfect resolution to size. I think when you get 4K at 32 inches, I actually feel like it's too much there. Everything looks a bit too big when you scale it perfectly. 5K, 27 inches, I think is perfect. When I look at apps like, so I use an app called Eagle for sort of inspiration management. I save images and stuff. Man, these images look so good. Everything looks so sharp. And even though this is a sort of matte, sort of glossy finish in between, the text is incredibly sharp. Like so sharp. It's wild. Absolutely wild how good this is. I'm genuinely so impressed. Now I think to myself, if you need a high resolution monitor that can do more than 60 Hertz, this is the option. This is the one you have to go with. There isn't anything else like it. As far as I can tell, this is the first monitor that is 5K that can do more than 60 Hertz, more than 100, well, I say more than 60 Hertz, can do at least 120 Hertz. Getting 165 Hertz with my M4 Max MacBook Pro, and look how smooth, obviously you guys can't tell because this video is 24 frames per second, but this is smooth AF. For me, it's just the text, the UI elements, the text, the icons. It's so incredibly sharp. I could easily use this for design work. And when it comes to like color accuracy as well, it looks like the MacBook display. Like my eyes are very sort of sensitive to color shifts on displays. And I actually don't know if this even needs color calibration. Now, of course, your eyes can deceive you, can lie to you, whatever. But just from me looking at it and observing it and using it right now, the colors look good. Another thing ASUS wanted me to mention is that when you install the ASUS Display Widget Center, you can actually adjust the brightness of the display from your Mac keyboard. Like you don't need to go into the settings or anything and do it yourself. You can of course also adjust any settings you like in here that you like. You don't have to go into the settings menu or whatever, and they also have a bunch of options here like gaming, FPS, cinemas, scenery, racing, sRGB. You can make your own custom one, night vision. They have a bunch of different options here so that you don't have to go into the settings behind the monitor and do it all yourself. You can do it all from your screen and from your keyboard. So I have the M4 Max MacBook Pro here, and even with that chip, I'm only limited to 165 Hertz. I can't get the full 180 Hertz. Now, I actually think that's okay because I'm not going to see too much of a difference between 165 and 180 Hertz when it comes to using it with a MacBook, because I'm not gaming, I'm doing productivity stuff. And I think for productivity, as long as it's a minimum of 120 Hertz so that it matches the Pro display sort of on the MacBook Pro, it's fine. I think it works really great. So that is a limitation to keep in mind. I'll put on screen what sort of refresh rates you can get with different MacBook generations. So yeah, you will need a more recent MacBook to make the most of this display. It's funny because I feel like this monitor is so advanced, it's so capable that it's actually ahead of the machines that can run it. You really need a powerful machine to run it. When I connect it up to my PC later on in the video, I actually had to upgrade the GPU in my PC because I had a 4080 Super, which isn't capable of doing 5K 180 Hertz. I had to upgrade to a 5080 just to get that full 5K 180 Hertz, which means I've had to throw away my 4080 Super. It's gone in the bin, which is a shame. We know that a MacBook works. That was to be expected. But what is a PS5 like? We are getting a variable refresh rate at 4K from 48 Hertz to 120 Hertz, which is really nice to see. Yeah, this is looking really good. The colors as well. I'm really surprised because this isn't an OLED screen, guys. You gotta remember, this is an IPS screen. This is not an OLED, but the colors still look really good. And I think it's just because it's so much brighter than an OLED. It looks more vivid. Okay, so we know PS5 works. We know we can get 120 Hertz, and we know we don't have to worry about any image scaling issues or anything like that. So yeah, if you're someone who has a PS5 and you have a Mac or a PC or you have all three, this is perfect. Oh, and for anyone interested in the RGB lighting on the back, this is really bright. This is surprisingly bright. I wasn't expecting it for it to be this bright. But yeah, there we go. Some RGB lighting on the back. Okay, so I've removed my old monitor and I'm gonna put this one here just for now because I don't wanna sort of set everything up properly. I just wanna demonstrate what it's like. So ignore the cable management, ignore the VESA mount stand, the monitor arm. You can actually VESA mount this if you like. You can take the stand off and VESA mount it as well if you'd like. So they do make it quite easy to do that too. We can see here we have the full 5K resolution, 5120 by 2880 at 180 Hertz. So now let's try and do the 330 Hertz. So if we go to, I assume frame rate boost, do we get, there we go. We've got it working straight away, 330 Hertz. There we go, you should be able to see that. We have 2560 by 1440 at 330 Hertz connected to my 5080. outrageous. Now, of course, at this resolution, the text isn't as sharp, but you know what? It still looks really good. I think it looks better than other iterations I've seen in the past where you've seen sort of 4K displays go to 480 Hertz, go down to like 1080p, 480 Hertz. This is 1440p at 330 Hertz, and it scales the whole monitor, like it scales the whole monitor, by the way. It's not, you're not getting like a smaller image. So like if I zoom out, you're not getting a smaller image on the screen, you're not getting black borders or anything like that. You are getting the full screen here at 1440p. You're not really compromising much here, apart from the resolution. So now you have a very high refresh rate, 330 Hertz monitor that you can use for gaming or whatever, and it will look fantastic. Now, like I said, I did have to upgrade my GPU to the 5080 to get 5K at 180 Hertz. However, if you do have a previous gen, like a 4080 Super, you can still get 5K at 120 Hertz. And then of course you can sort of scale back the resolution however you like. I'll put a table on screen again to show you what GPUs you can use and then what refresh rates you can get with those specific GPUs. But yeah, to get that sort of 5K, 180 Hertz, you are going to need a current gen GPU. 250 frames per second with DLSS on. Holy moly, okay. Oh, you're dying. Everyone's dying today. Oh my God, they're all just spawning on the truck. What? How's that work? Let's res this guy. Crazy that we're even getting this many frames. Oh my God, there's a tank on me. Let's choose soldier. Here we go. Look, we're getting 180 Hertz already, which is perfect. Yeah, this is great. 180 Hertz straight away. No problems there whatsoever doing 180 Hertz. If we go to options, go to video, yeah, we're doing 5K at 180 Hertz. Works. I didn't even have to do anything. It just works straight away. I also don't think a lot of people realize how much data is required to do 5K at 180 Hertz. 5K resolution is actually nearly double the amount of pixels compared to 4K. It's why we haven't seen that many 5K or 6K displays above 60 Hertz, because the tech just isn't there to support that much data. Like there is so much data having to go through. Like it doesn't sound like much going from 4K to 5K, but like I said, it's nearly double the amount of pixels. So having to push nearly double the amount of pixels at 120 Hertz, at 180 Hertz, like this monitor does, you need GPUs that are powerful enough, you need cables that can handle all that data. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It's why we just haven't seen higher refresh rate, high resolution displays. Now, what I think a lot of people will consider a downside of this monitor is that it's not OLED. It is IPS. Now, I actually don't think that's ASUS's fault. I actually think that's the actual manufacturers making panels. As far as I can tell, there isn't anyone out there making an OLED 5K, 6K display. It just doesn't exist right now. I'm sure that if ASUS had access to 5K OLED panels, 6K OLED panels, they would have made the displays. Like, they seem to be very at the forefront of trying to put the latest tech in their monitors. But they just don't seem to exist right now. So they've done the next best thing, which is have an IPS panel that can do high refresh rate at high resolution. I do also think for most people, actually, an IPS makes more sense. If you're at your computer for hours every day, you need something that's fairly bright, an IPS just makes more sense. OLED still does have burn-in issues. Now, of course, it's not as much of an issue as it used to be in the past, but it is still there. And of course, like I said, OLED doesn't get as bright. So if you have like a full white screen, like a document or whatever, instantly the monitor gets dimmer, which can be quite annoying, quite frustrating. For a lot of people, that change in brightness can be so frustrating. And I think to myself, if you need one monitor that can do everything, your PC for gaming, your Mac for productivity, your PlayStation, PS5 for gaming as well, you want high resolution, high refresh rate, you want the option of 180 Hertz at 5K or 1440p at 330 Hertz, like, this monitor right now really can do everything. And like I said, I do think to myself, 5K resolution at 27 inches is the perfect size. I actually feel like 32 inches is too big when I'm playing first-person shooters like Battlefield or Overwatch. I think 27 inches is just more my sort of size, and I think it makes more sense for this sort of thing. For those who have used a 5K monitor and then gone back to a 4K display, you will see the difference in resolution straight away. You will understand what I mean. I think for a lot of people who've used a 4K display, going up to a 5K, they think to themselves, oh, that doesn't seem like much of a difference, but it really is. It's one of those things where if you use productivity apps, if you use like Final Cut Pro, Lightroom, sort of any apps that require lots of UI elements and lots of things on the display, 5K resolution is such a big jump up from 4K. So as I'm just finishing this video, ASUS emailed me regarding the price of this monitor. They're going to be releasing it for $750. I'm not gonna lie, I am actually really surprised. I was fully expecting this monitor to be around $2,000 purely because of the high refresh rate and because it's 5K. The demand for 5K isn't as high as 4K. $750 for this monitor is an absolute bargain, I think, considering when you look at other 5K monitors on the market, like the Studio Display, that are $1,400, $1,500, you're getting incredible value for money here. Now, of course, you are missing out on the webcam, on the speakers, on that aluminium frame, but for a lot of people, that's not worth paying double the price. And I feel like you can get much better speakers, much better webcam for that sort of price, and you can probably get a nice monitor arm as well. Right now, as I make this video, I feel like it's actually hard to recommend anything else if you're looking for a 5K display. This really is that good. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more. I will leave links to everything down in the description below.